of it.
I didn't listen to any of it, but when I was thinking, because I was thinking about what I was doing today, and I thought, to me, one of the biggest arguments in my mind that there is a creator is that he created us with really unique voices, and somehow scientists haven't figured out how do we match pitch, how do you give color to your voice, how do you do all that stuff. That's given to us by a creator. And
scientists also have only figured out a very, very tiny percent of what our brains do and how they work and what they're capable of.
And how can that be an accident? I mean, I just was stunned by that. You know, I didn't read a lot of the discussion. So really, the purpose of this today is, and I look around at you, and you all seem to have, you know, I think varying degrees of, you know, lots of singing experience or lots of study. So I think I might move kind of quickly on this. But let me give you a background, sort of my point of view in this. I love singing. I love it. I love people's voices. I love working with people's voices. It's a real gift. I think each person's voice is this unique creation of God with this wonderful uniqueness about it. When I was in high school, I met Mark, my husband in high school actually. I used to sing in a cover band. I was in high school in the late 70s, and I sang in a cover band, and we would do lots of Eagles and Linda Ronstadt and Fleetwood Mac and all that stuff. And then I thought, well, I think I want to teach music. So I went to CCM, and if I say CCM, because, okay, so I went there and I studied voice and music ed. So they kind of trained the Fleetwood Mac out of me. So imagine
that.
Landslide. I used to sing that all the time. Well, then because I knew Mark, I thought I want to be where Mark is, and he was at Miami University. So I thought, oh, I'll get a master's in voice. So I went to Miami, you know, followed my heart, fell in love, married Mark. By that point, though, I started to get really serious about this. And my teacher up there said, well, why don't you go back to CCM? So I got 2 years of a doctorate in. But the purpose of that was not necessarily to teach, but it was to develop my voice, because at that point, I felt God was calling me to sing opera. And that's what I did. So Mark and I had this kind of adventure for about 15 years where we moved out to the East Coast. I got to sing a lot of cool places, meet a lot of really interesting people. You know, it was great. You know, it was a really cool adventure. And I got to travel to places that, you know, normally I would have got to, like in Europe, and sang a lot in the East Coast and Midwest and in the Middle East. And it was great. But then I came back here, and, you know, it kind of was gnawing at me, the whole thing about, you know, because I kept getting these students who sang all types of music. You know, somehow God was giving me all these students. And I thought, well, you know, the voice is the voice. Why is one type of singing not as legitimate as another? And so we're going to talk about a bit about that. But also, my purpose in this is to let things free up a little bit so that you can worship freely, so that you're not inhibited by your voice, but that you can do, you're not limited by your voice, but only by your heart and what you do. So, you know, the students I work with, because I now work at CCM again, the students I work with tend to be singing actors. And so, you know, I always tell them that I want their voices to be free enough so that they can follow their impulse to communicate what they want to. But I think we have an even higher purpose that we can communicate to God. And I think, you know, the discussion right before was terrific. Just turn around a second and look at my he's cracking me up. If I ever, you know, my eyes are. So that's background, that's the very short background. So let's talk about breath. And I know lots of you are very, very familiar with how to breathe as a singer. And I look around and I think many of you have already taken private voice lessons. But this is one of those things that teachers explain in a different way, support, and let's stand up. So we're going to do lots of, I may even have some of you guys lay on the floor, you know, whatever. Katie, no, you're exempt from that because you might not get me back up. we'll get the boys to, you know, the point out. All right, so basically, and those of you who are in, well, I'm looking around. Anybody in health? Everybody's in health there. Okay. All right, so your breath, your lungs are, get the doctor.
I thought you said anybody in poor health. Well, I guess I am. I don't know.
All right,
work in the healthcare industry. Is what
But I'm healthy. All right, so where are your lungs? Just kind of point them out.
that under my curl.
Right, exactly, like right in your bra. All right, so if you've ever seen a commercial where they advertise COPD, so your lungs don't really go to the bottom of your rib cage. Well, shoot, you can talk about this. All right, so when you take a breath, the breath goes into your lungs. The air goes into your lungs. So if I were to take a breath, tell me what happens to my lungs. All right, so here we go. What motion are they going in? Expanding. So, some singing teachers will talk about how your lungs go up and out. So generally, they definitely need to move. Also, there's a muscle, a very large muscle called the diaphragm, and I know for many of you this is review, but your diaphragm is a very large sheet of muscles. When it's in an at-rest position, it's in a dome. When you take a breath in, it flattens. Okay, so if it flattens, it basically is separating, and you can tell me if I'm right on this, all right? All right, so it separates the pulmonary stuff, lung and hearts, from all the digestive stuff, and that would be the medical term. All right, so...
Digestive stuff.
Digestive stuff, yes. So when you take a breath, your diaphragm flattens. Now, do you think, is your diaphragm a voluntary or an involuntary muscle? Maybe both. I think it is. I think it absolutely is. Because you can control your breath, but when you're asleep,
it does it without you thinking about it.
You're
Right.
dead.
So it's kind of both.
So if my diaphragm all of a sudden flattens, okay, if I had little bitty six-pack abs, maybe my abs would not move out much. But I have a little bit of a gut. I had a baby, so. So if I take a big breath, what's going on down with my lower abs?
Probably going to go out because your diaphragm's going down.
Because it displaces what's all down here. Okay, so two things I want you to do. First, put your hands up here. So ladies, if you're in a bra, it'll be up there. Guys, it's just up high. Put your shoulders nice and back. Take a big breath, and I want you to expand your lungs. So see if you can make them go up and out like a bucket handle. You ready? And just blow. You ready? One more time. Great. Okay, now everybody put your hand right on your tummy. Take a nice big breath. Take another one. Okay, so I'm seeing all kinds of different styles of breath. I see, every now and again, I'll see a little bit of a shoulder up. Sometimes I see some movement here. Think your body is a nice big balloon. Your breath only goes in your lungs, but your diaphragm will displace a little bit. I'm going to have you all, can you sit? And this is nobody's in a dress. This is a really unladylike position for the women. But everybody's going to sit with your legs really far apart. And you guys in the second and third row, this might be strange, but I want you to see if you can feel your lower back when you breathe. So lean forward, and I want you to breathe and just imagine that there's a big donut or a lifesaver around your waist. And see what's going on in your lower back. Okay, everybody take a big breath. Does anybody feel your lower back inflate a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
When I sit for a long period of time, I get sore on my back.
And
that's where I notice it.
So good,
Right.
in a way, because when you're done singing, I always tell my students, I'd rather they feel that there's a little back,
Maybe not sore, but
as opposed
tired.
to tired.
I'll get tired back there.
Right. So you really use a lot of your body to sing, a lot of your body. I'm trying to think which way I want to go first. Do you guys want to talk about registers, or just start do some vocal registers, or do some exercises? I could go either way.
Just the record. I'm totally in.
You're totally
I've never had
understanding.
any class ever.
Well, so this is great.
It's all very brand new.
Talk about registers first.
Well, let's talk about, so let's talk about registers. And some of you, Katie, Tom, you guys can just, jump on this. Women and men both have what can be called a chest voice and a head voice. Okay, so since I'm a soprano, I have a soprano larynx, I sing a lot in my head voice. Those of you who know what a head voice is, actually, look, before we do that, give me a puppy whine. So give me a ooh, 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 ooh. And guys, you have a head voice too. What would that be called? And I'm not looking at you. What's your head voice called? Well, it is connected to your hair. It definitely is connected to your hair.
Oh, yeah.
Or, they're all up in their head. Everybody give me a head voice again, kind of a puppy. And guys can do it too. All right. So how would you describe, what is a head voice? How would you describe it?
I would describe it when the tone is resonating in your head.
Yes. Could be head.
But I guess that's where I try to
Could be
have
any
my
place you
tone
feel it.
resonate. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Are there any characteristics of head voice both for men and women? Any adjectives you'd use to describe head voice?
A lighter voice.
Breathy.
Say that again?
Breathy.
Breathy?
Higher. I mean,
Higher?
just the notes are higher.
By definition, higher. So weaker, breathy,
See, I don't think weaker.
Lighter.
lighter. Yeah, I don't
Because
either.
my head voice is a lot stronger than my chest voice. Because my chest
Me
voice
too,
will,
sister,
my chest
but
voice
I'm
will
a
give out
soprano.
when I'm tired, but my head voice.
But I'm an alto, so my
Right, so yours
My
by definition
deeper-
might be
my
weaker.
deeper tones are stronger.
Correct.
And when I go up into my head voice, it's a lighter.
Right, and you have,
I
God
have to
made you
reach
with a
for
different
those
sort of
notes.
larynx. You have a different size and different type of larynx. And I guess we could talk about, well, we'll get to that. All right, now let me give you a demonstration of head voice, but this is the operatic version. So tell me if you think, is it lighter? Is it breathy? So let's see, because everybody's head voice is a little bit different. And this will be the last line of an aria. Sorry, I'm singing in Italian. This will be the only time. Katie, you're with me on this. Which one am I doing? So that's some head voice. Was it lighter?
No.
Okay. Now, besides watching my face, because I never sing like that in church. That's my training. I never sing like that in church because we do a different genre of music. I think the only time was when I did the Hallelujah Chorus, when we all sang that together. So, was anybody watching? What was my jaw or mouth doing? Anybody watching, like, breath? Martha, you were.
Could definitely see your lower belly move
Yes.
displaced when you would take your breaths in.
Exactly. Okay, how about jaw? Any correlation to opening of mouth higher in the staff or lower? Any correlation?
It seemed to me that when you were doing the louder volume,
Huh?
your jaw was more open.
Yes, and for me the louder volume would be higher. Yeah. So that to me, as a singer, your mouth basically is the speaker that the sound comes out. And I can't remember, Martha, was it you that said worship is about communication? Were we talking
Well,
about communicating?
We were talking about that one other time, and the whole point of it is that if I'm not communicating the message of the song, because I get frustrated when I think that they can't hear
Right.
the words that are, over the instruments or whatever, because the message of the song is part of the whole point of singing it.
Correct.
Is what the words say.
Correct. And I have to say, to me, I always go back to the first line of the purpose-driven life. It's not about you. So when you're singing, it's not about you. So if you are communicating, it's got to be, what does the congregation or the audience hear? And we here use microphones, but still the microphone only picks up what you send it. So, to me, one of the truths of singing is the higher you go, the more you need to use that speaker physically for the sound to come out. Is that making sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about chest voice. Now, what would you guess chest voice is?
A lower range.
Lower range, often, yeah.
And the sound is down here, more
The-
resonating down here.
Okay. That's a good way to answer it. You may feel, and men, when you sing,
My throat gets.
do you think do you sing primarily in your chest voice? Absolutely. And that's where you speak. as well. Men tend to speak in their chest voice, but you'll get a sensation of maybe there's some chest vibration. When the four of you guys sing, where do you feel it? I mean, do you feel maybe some vibration in your throat or in your chest? Some men who are really low voices can feel a little sympathetic vibration, honestly, down to the belly buttons. Some really low men.
Those are the ones you want to sit in front of them.
Those are the ones that the babies will fall asleep on. They'll be like, all right, so women. All right, so Marilyn, you're a mezzo. Do you feel a lot of vibration in your chest when you sing? Or does it depend?
Not that I noticed, really.
Okay. But that tends to be what chest voice is.
Or maybe
It's
more
lower.
here.
When they say vibration, what do you mean?
Okay. All right, so everybody, let's do, put your hands on your chest. I'm going to have you put your heads back, but only as far back like you're drinking water. And let's do low ah vowels. So in whatever your range is, you're going to do a ah, ah. And just go low. And if you can go really go low, go low. Ready? Ah, 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 ah. See if you feel any vibration. As low as you can.
Absolutely.
Where are you feeling it? And if you feel it in your belly button, great.
Right
Oh,
here.
you're feeling okay.
No,
You're
I'm
not
feeling
feeling
great.
that low?
I was checking. I don't feel it down there.
Okay. Tom, you're a lower voice. Where are you feeling it?
Mostly through like the collarbone.
Collarbone area.
The throat
And the
is
throat.
where it starts, and then depending on if there is some actual chest involved.
Right. And so, for classical singers, they basically talk about chest, voice, and head. Joyce, are you with me?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Now, I had to ask because you said it's all new. All right. So, in contemporary music, there's also what you would call a mix. What on earth is a mix? Maybe. You you can go back and forth.
Or almost both, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's the-
Balance.
yeah.
Yes. To me, it's any combination of a little head resonance and a little chest resonance. It might be 95% chest and 5% head. It might be the opposite. As you sing a song, it may move around a lot. Let me just sing a song, and it's not the whole song. It's just a little bit. What do I do with my voices? And you'll see my beautiful piano playing skills. But try not to listen to those. But what I want you to listen to, and it's just a 16-bar thing. But to me, mixed voice is kind of on a spectrum. Depending on what you want to say with the text, sometimes you might hit it harder. Sometimes you're going to have more chest voice, sometimes more head. In this, there's a section you hear clearly that I jump into my head voice. But it's kind of a fluid thing. So there's no such thing as always a mix, and it's always 50-50. Is that making sense? I mean, my brain sort of works that way, but sometimes, if I talk about this, people look like, what are you talking about? Let me show you what it perhaps is a little closer to speech. That's the word. And if you can tell me what the song is, extra closer. When somebody loved me, everything was beautiful. Every hour we spent together lives within my heart. And when she was sad, I was there to dry her tears. And when she was happy, so was I. When she loved me. Through the summer and the fall, we had each other, that was all. But she and I together, like it was meant to be. And when she was lonely, I was there to comfort her, and I knew that she loved me. Okay, so what's the difference in the sound between the operatic thing I just did and this? It's different. How would you describe it just in adjectives?
Do you use much chest voice when you sing opera?
You can.
You can.
Depends. It depends.
But when you're a soprano, it seems to me that mostly it's head voice when you're singing opera.
Correct.
And in contemporary music,
It's
it seems
chest
like it's a lot
dominant.
more chest dominant.
Right. Which, if you're a soprano by nature, you know, and I'm looking at Joyce, Katie, you know, or even not so much a high tenor, but it's very chest dominant. Contemporary music, if it's whether or not it's musical theater or contemporary Christian, it's basically written in, and you and I are talking about this, Marilyn, pretty much in our break.
Mm-hmm.
It's right in our break, basically. So a mix is a little more useful tool for a woman than a man, but I have to say, in contemporary music, you all, if you're going for high notes and don't want to give it full out, you can mix a little falsetto. What was the difference in the sound? Because there was some chest voice, but that was not necessarily chest voice dominant. It was Sarah McLachlan, and so it was tended to be, she's a little higher and she flips under her head a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the difference? And did I aim the sound any place? And we maybe talk about where you place sound.
Well, it started in your chest voice.
Yes, it did.
And then it went up to the head voice.
Right.
It seemed more conversational.
Correct. Was it as resonant?
As the opera.
Right. Correct. That's correct.
It's one part of it.
Go
Once
ahead.
you got to the head voice, the times that you even placed it back, it wasn't allowed to come out.
Right.
It was just there,
Right.
higher, but still not
Right.
projected as much.
Right. You know, and everybody's voice is really different, and so you're going to cross those registers differently. We're going to do one more. I'm going to do one more example, and then we're going to get to some exercises. To me, the two things that are crucial in crossing these registers are loosening up your tongue and jaw, because your tongue is, you know, if there's a lot of tongue tension, you're going to pull up your larynx. It's not going to vibrate freely. This is basically to show you. We're going to talk about this in a sec, but. And so it's keeping your tongue and jaw nice and free and giving your sound a lot of breath, but not necessarily a lot of volume. Because have any of you ever noticed, women or men, that you're singing in your chest voice, and then all of a sudden you come to a break, and it's like, bah, or you've heard people sing maybe, ah, and then it flips?
It changes
Correct.
dramatically.
Correct. And it's not always what you want to happen. So,
You would not ever want that to happen, I wouldn't think.
right, and,
It
you
can
know,
happen if you're nervous.
it'll happen if you're nervous, right? If you tighten up, if you give it too much volume, because sometimes
Right.
I think your larynx isn't able to handle it. So you've got to give it a lot of breath, but not necessarily a lot of volume until the muscles are ready to handle that. So, all right, let's talk lastly about belting. What do you think belting is? And I have to say,
Screaming.
I'm going to do it in a second. All right, so a lot of voice teachers have a lot of opinions about this. But, so you say screaming. And
Well,
some people say
that's what
screaming.
because there's times that I'll hear somebody
And it sounds like
belting out a song and it doesn't sound pleasant to me. It sounds like they're screaming. Because it's like it's all about volume and it's not about the quality of the tone.
Right. Okay, so belting in the United States, one of the first famous belters was Ethel Merman. Can anybody sing like do a little Ethel Merman? Go ahead, Joyce, you got it. There's no business like show. Well, okay, the reason why she started belting, well, and not just her, but it was in vaudeville days, was because there was no amplification.
Yeah, they didn't have head mics.
They didn't have mics, and so it's either you're going to sing, you know, sort of operatically, classically, or you're going to belt, and that's what would carry into the house. So, but there's a lot of times people belt, and you think that has got to hurt, and you listen to it, and you think, ow, ow, ow. So how would you?
Well, there is a right way and a wrong way to do it.
That is correct. How would you, Kate, I'm going to ask you this, because maybe you've heard, or Tom, like, what have you heard people define belting as? And nobody agrees on it, so there's no right or wrong answer. Tom, I'm going to start with you because you're right in front.
Probably more of a stage voice situation where words become extremely essential,
You're right.
whereby operatically not often is that true.
True.
You know,
It should be an opera, but
it
yeah,
should,
it's
but
not always.
It,
Yeah.
you know, it's more of the vowel
Right.
and the beauty of the tone as compared to a a show tune whereby every little pattern that's involved is extremely important to what the song's about.
Okay,
So
it's good definition.
I think that has something to do with the belt,
Mhm.
but the actual volume, again, because of the necessity of amplification not being there.
Good definition. Katie, how about you? Because I'm sure you, having studied classical music, you hear positive and negative. Because I certainly have all my life, so.
I've always heard and been taught that belting is using subglottal pressure to carry your sound.
Right.
And so I have always struggled to belt in a healthy way because subglottal pressure always leads
Amen,
to
sister.
tension.
Do you
Me
want
too.
this? You
Yeah,
do?
no, I mean, I have a hard time belting in a healthy way.
Okay.
In chest voice,
Okay.
not in head voice.
So men, not to leave you out, do you know men belt as well? They do. If you, the definition, I mean, there's a lot of definitions, but if you're taking kind of a spoken stage speech up a little bit higher than maybe your break, and in both a man and a woman's break, it's the same. It's an E right above a middle C to about an F sharp or G. That's the man and woman's natural break. So if you're taking kind of speech, a frontal speech above that, that is belting, basically. So how I define it is when I speak to you, do you hear a little head voice in my speech because I am a soprano larynx? So I'm not speaking.
Right.
I don't sound like that's not my voice, you know. So I'm going to go with what Tom said, that basically it's a sustained speech, whatever that speech is. That might be some chest voice, that might be some head voice, with a lot of breath, and it's generally a very frontal sound. That's just sort of the style of it. Okay, so when I work with my students on belting, because you can kill yourself as a singer if you belt too much, and if you don't breathe and support it. Okay, so here are the 3 rules. When you belt, you need to use more breath than when I sang a high B. Okay, so I need to use more breath than when I sing a high soprano note. So that's a lot of breath. So did you see how much my stomach was moving and my lungs were expanding? So number 1, you need to use a ton of breath, because in church, sometimes you guys belt. I do. Number 2, the placement of it is perhaps a little more frontal than you might be comfortable singing. Okay, meaning, so when I say placement, so Joyce, you tell me, follow me. When you're singing, you send your sound someplace or you send your breath someplace. Does that make sense? That's okay. We'll talk more. So you're going to be singing a little more frontal. Has anybody ever heard the singer Kristen Chenoweth?
Oh, absolutely.
Kristen Chenoweth, she kind of speaks a little bit like
It's
this.
very nasal.
It's a little here. I love Kristen, and she's a believer. Kristen's a believer. And I met her once. She came to CCM, and I was 2 feet away from her. And she's delightful. But she speaks kind of like this. Yeah, she's 4'11". So a lot of breath, almost a hyperfrontal placement. And the other thing is that your tongue is down, therefore your larynx is a little more relaxed and low, so that it can vibrate a little more freely. But Katie, you're right, there is subglottal pressure, you're right, because there's more closed, sorry. All right. But there's a higher rate.
Tighter throat.
All right, we're going to get to that. We'll get to the larynx. No, it's
A
not.
tight throat is what I'm
I
saying.
didn't know who was going to be here. I thought I might have to be saying, you know, I don't know. So, all right, so let me demonstrate a little belt. This is kind of a combination of belt and mix. And because I normally do this with musical theater students, that's what you're getting here. So the composer is Stephen Flaherty, who is from Cincinnati. And it's from a show called Ragtime. So again, don't listen to my piano, but what I want you to do is watch my jaw. If you can see how much I'm breathing, that's great. There was a time our happiness seemed never ending. I was so sure where we were headed was right. Life was a road so voiced it again. Because I used to do it in high school, and then I was trained out of it. So to me, the voice is the voice. You know, God created it all, but you just have to learn how to do it
I always
healthy.
think of you as a belter.
Oh, her?
Yeah, Marilyn's a belter.
Belter, Marilyn?
She could belt. Yeah, Marilyn's a good belter. You know, but Marilyn doesn't want to go too high because then you start getting that feeling like it's kind of going to crack or something's going to give. So basically, you go as high as you're comfortable. Now, if you add some head voice to it, if you're a woman, you can belt really high. You know, and that's possible, but you have to be really careful with it. Let's do some exercises because I want to loosen up jaws and tongues and have you guys breathe. So everybody come on up. Katie, do whatever is comfortable, you and Isaiah. But everybody come on, and let's do some exercises.
Like up there?
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't sure. I was going to have you guys lay on the floor, but really the breath looked pretty good. So I think we're good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, no, we're good. So now everybody has a different sort of larynx. So when you do exercise in a group, sometimes you like certain ones and sometimes you don't. So if something goes too high for you, and you feel something that just doesn't feel quite right, stop or sing it in the octave that you like. Because everybody has a different type of larynx. Let me ask a question before we start. Has anybody ever sung, say, in church and done, you know, we've done a rehearsal and feel like your voice is really tired at the end?
I'm thinking that we practice for 3 hours. We want
But the thing I find is that if I'm singing improperly, I'll be tired in 20 minutes.
Right.
If I'm singing properly, I can go a couple
But
hours.
not everybody knows what properly and improperly
Yes.
is. That's really hard. So far, what we talked about, what would you guess might be proper? What would be a thing that would help you immediately?
Well, what works for me might not work for somebody else.
Just start out.
To breathe.
What works for me is to get good breath
Yes.
and use head tone, no
Yeah.
matter where I'm singing, because that keeps me from straining my throat.
Right.
To
For
put
you,
the
it's
sound
not
here in my
lyrics, that's
head and feel a buzz up here in my forehead, then I know that I have looseness down here.
And
So,
that would also work for Joyce, Katie, and myself. The rest of you would want to sing in your chest voice to keep it, you know, because you sing where your larynx is at home. So, but breath is huge. You're right, the breath is huge. If you're not breathing, what tends to happen is your muscles lock up with your head. And then once they get tight, you keep singing on them, and your larynx keeps rising, and you just feel like something feels funny. Or has anybody ever had where you are done with rehearsal and you think, I feel hoarse?
yeah, in the past.
Yeah, that's your voice telling me something. So let's do a couple exercises, and these are a little bit freaky. Well, this one's not.
Quick
Go
question.
ahead.
I mean,
Yeah.
is it possible if you're singing out of your chest voice and you're singing a little bit higher, maybe you can do that for a short period of time, not necessarily a long period of time? Maybe if you keep doing that, does that hurt your voice or does it make it stronger?
Well, ask that question again. I'm not sure.
So let's say I'm singing a song and it's out of my normal range.
Yes.
It's not quite falsetto, but it's
Okay,
it's
but it's
up there.
higher than your
higher
comfortable
than
singing.
normal, and I can sing it for short periods of time, but after long periods of time, I can't feel it anymore. Because I feel like my throat's getting tight.
Right, okay.
Can you strengthen, if I keep doing that?
Well, you can strengthen, but probably I'd suggest that you use exercises to strengthen your throat as opposed to during rehearsal and getting more tired and tired.
Okay. But
That-
is it possible to build endurance?
Oh,
at that level?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the more you sing and the more you sing in your car. I'm not a big believer in singing in the car because I always feel that,
Are you kidding me?
people get in,
I know you sing in the car.
well, yeah, I mean for fun, but not for practice. You know,
Yeah,
because I was
there's no
thinking people are gonna
difference.
hit it. Yeah, there's no difference. The more you do it, the more you sing and support it, the better and stronger you'll get. But it's also nice to have people listen to you to make sure, does this sound right? But, you're the one who can tell if it feels weird. If it feels weird, stop and see where it's comfortable.
Okay.
Men can also go up in your falsetto as long as you're feeling, if it feels decent. We're going to do a falsetto.
Can I also ask, is there a way to build breath support? Is there an
Yes.
exercise to build that?
Well, why don't we do one? All right,
Running is
we're
a
gonna
really
do
good
one.
way to build a strong breath.
What were you going to say?
It's a nice segue.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Let's breathe in on to put your hands right on your lungs, and we're going to hiss out pretty aggressively on 4.
Hiss out?
You're going to do a s. Yeah, it's like, just like you're going to spit, but you're really not. Okay, ready? Breathe in, 2, hiss, 2, 3, 4. Okay, way more aggressively. Almost like.
So we run out of air with
I was
it.
saying, it makes me a little lightheaded.
Yeah, if you're like, go ahead and sit on
Be
the
an aggressive pisser.
Put your head between your knees. Honestly, I don't want to lose you. Breathe in, 2, hiss, 2, 3, 4. Right, now we're going to pace it. We're going to breathe in 2, hiss 8. So you're not going to be as quite as aggressive. So pace. Breathe in, 2, hiss, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just looked at the clock. We're going to do exercises, then I need to let you go because I thought I should be done at 8:30, and I got to respect your time. Okay, now I want you to do breathe in 2.
Can we take a vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know
Well,
what?
we're
And
gonna
if you
look
need to
at the
go,
roads.
yeah, we gotta look at the roads. All right, breathe in 2. Okay, let's make it tough. Hiss out on 16. Ready? Breathe in. 2. Hiss, pace it 2, 3, 4, shoulder back. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. 13, 14, 15, 16. Good. Okay, now we're gonna do sort of the opposite.
Can't stop.
It's going forever. All right,
The
now.
same amount of air
No, we're gonna
comes
do
out in different speeds depending on
what you
you
need.
choose to do.
And you
right?
always breathe for what you need. But we tend to not breathe for what we need because if you're used to sitting in an office or, you know, a sedentary life, you don't breathe for what you need. So it's a little more aggressive than you think. All right, so let's breathe. We're going to breathe in on 2, and I want you to give me the smallest hiss, like a. Okay? And I'm going to take it a little faster. I had one student, he could do 80, but that's just different lung capacity. You know, college age male who's active has a bigger lung capacity than, you know, like a 50-year-old woman. So, all right, do as long as you can hold it. Ready? Breathe in. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 5, 6, 7, 8, front third, if you can find contact with your teeth, great. You're going to sing the word high. So it's going to be a high. So you're going to breathe and try to hold everything pretty much still. Get there and sing it. Whatever. It's like, slide through it. Totally fine. Give me a lot of breath, and you're going to think the higher we go, the more yawny it is.
So are us guys on that?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're going to be down the octave. Sorry, well, did I give you a heart attack? You're starting there? No. You're in an easier place. Go as high as you're comfortable. Drop out of the center. Nice loose jaw. Lots of breath. Tongue jaw. Okay, so if you like this note, this is a high F sharp. Great. Stay with me if you don't drop down the